Hey everyone, welcome back to BrowncoatNerd. Today we're going to be looking at the Serbian Zastava M90. Now this is going to be kind of a little bit more of a show and tell video of my next project rifle. Don't have any really new or fresh information for you on this. So I picked this up back in August of 2025 from Classic Firearms for $1,234. This one is the walnut stock. It actually came with one polymer mag rather than this metal one. And also had this wood grip on there, which I absolutely hated the way it looked and felt. So I just put a surplus polymer U grip on there for now. I plan on changing out all of this stock. Probably going to get some surplus wood furniture. Not really positive yet. So when I ordered this, I was just trying to get the cheapest version, whatever one that was that they had in stock. And at the time, a lot of places were kind of drying up on the resource of these. I believe Classic Firearms and Atlantic at the time were the only two places I could really find them for a decent price. And I think Classic just had the cheaper walnut wood stock version available. So I went with that route, knowing I'm probably going to be changing out all the furniture anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like I said, the wood furniture on it does seem nice. I absolutely hate this style of grip. They've got another one on there that they put on a bunch of these. It's a little bit longer. I feel like that one would be much more comfortable. But yeah, I absolutely hated the way this felt. It just was not nice. So picked up a little $4 surplus Yugo AK grip and just threw that on there as a filler. I also did put on this leather Hungarian sling just because I had it lying around, and why not? This does come with a slant break at the end of its 18-inch barrel. Once again, I'll probably put a flash hider on there. I'll definitely be changing it out one way or another. Of course, it has the 1.5 millimeter thick receiver with the bulge trunnion, and I do know Zastavas are a much heated debate in many corners of the AK world. I've got several Zastava pistols, Zastava SKS, and I do have one of the older Century Arms international imports of the M92, which is not nearby. And I haven't put a huge round count through that, but I have shot it a bunch, and I've been very happy. I've had no issues with it, and that's the older 1 millimeter thick receiver without the bulge trunnion. Does not have the chrome line barrel, but I've been pretty happy with that. So debate what you will. I won't get into the nitty gritty of this. When you, in my opinion, if you're coming to me as a friend, you're thinking about buying a Zastava, I'm going to say you're good to go. However, there is a chance you're going to have issues. Unarguably, they've had metallurgy issues in the past. I don't think it's every firearm that has that issue with it. Should the ones with bad metallurgy be getting out to the general public? No, they shouldn't. And this is also just my opinion on it. I'm willing to roll the dice. And that's kind of what I would say to you if you're coming to me thinking about getting one. More than likely, you're good to go. There have been issues, so not necessarily it's going to be a roll of the dice, but there is a little bit of a gamble there. And I might be in the situation with dealing with that. So the magazines that came with was the polymer one. It goes in a little tight, as you can see. And it gets kind of caught up right there, taking it out. The metal one is not as tight. It actually goes in and out much easier. Still gets caught up right there. So I don't know if this mag latch is like a little too long, but I feel like the dimensions in here somewhere, the specs, are a little off. Also, there's tons of videos on people testing different mags that work in the Zastavas. Like the FB Radom 556, I feel like the videos you watch of those, if it works in one FB Radom, it works in all of them. The Zastava M90 is not like that. It's going to be a rifle-to-rifle basis. So FB Radom mag, I can't even get to go in there. You'll see plenty of other YouTube videos of people running the FB Radom mag. AC Unity, which you would expect would work coming out of the same country, will not go in there. Got a WBP. Okay, it is locked in there, but only barely. The commercial Bulgarian mags that I love so much. Just shy of locking in. And you'll see a lot of videos of people running these Bulgarian mags in their Zastava M90s. I got a Bakelite here. Oh, I was thinking this one barely locked in, but I guess not. Yeah, once again, just won't lock in. So, something in the geometry in here, I believe, is out of spec. Am I going to reach out to Zastava for the warranty on it, see if they'll do anything? Probably not. I haven't shot this gun yet. I'm going to take it out. It is kind of weird to me how this metal mag just locks in there perfect. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a very easy fitting mag for this gun. The polymer one it came with, in my opinion, is kind of ugly. Doesn't fit in there great. If I take it out and it runs just fine with these two mags, you know, I'm good with that. And actually, one of the commercial Bulgarian mags I had, I did get in to lock in at one point, but then the bolt was like catching on the follower, which is kind of what led me to believe maybe, you know, the mag catch is a little bit too long, pushing the mag up in there a little bit too high. But once again, works fine with the Zastava mag, so I'm really not sure on that one. And going back to the videos of people trying mags, you will see people have success and failures with different mags in different Zastava M90s. Some of them are really picky, like mine, and some of them aren't. So if you get one, maybe just kind of plan on being stuck with the with your Zastava mag options. And maybe, possibly, if you're lucky, other mags will also work. Now, another thing I could do is file the back lug on those mags to try to get them to work. However, they work great in my FB Radom AK. And, I mean, I haven't shot this yet, but right now I love my FB Radom a lot more than this. Still wanted this. I still bought this, obviously. So I'm probably just going to leave those mags alone. I don't want to have a pile of modified mags for the M90 and a pile of modified mags for the FB Radom, because the AC Unity ones, the Serbian ones, I did have to file some on the back lug latch to get them to work in the FB Radom, and I don't want to file even more to get them to work in this guy. Also, my plans of now, and they might change, getting some surplus wood furniture on here. I feel like this is by far just the best looking mag to go along with that. So, you know, it sucks. I've got all these mags that work in the Radom, but don't work in this. But I can live with that. I didn't buy this gun to go to competitions, to do any kind of running and gunning, anything like that. I just got this to add into my collection because the Beryl is kind of going the modern tactical route. And I just kind of got a hair at my ass. Wanted a 5.56 AK that kind of looked a little more, you know, classic looking. And out of the options that are readily available, and at a decent price, you got your WBP, Zastava, and then the FB Radom, Beryl, if they're still available. Real quick side note on that, I've noticed the Arms of America, all their emails now say the last Beryl rifles of 2025. They've got like little asterisks. So they might be getting more next year. I don't know what that's all about. But, so the Beryls are kind of drying up, at the very least for now. WBPs, I've seen some very mixed reviews on those of people having issues, especially with the firing pin. Not as bad as the firing pin issues like in the Pioneers, But so that made me a little bit reluctant on the WBP. Zastava, even though a lot of AK people love to hate the Zastava, it does kind of seem like the M90 gets a get out of free jail card. I've seen some people that hate the Zastava, and then they're like, oh, well, M90, they're okay. They get a pass. So, these do get a lot of hate. But at the same time, even with, admitting I've seen videos of people that have had metallurgy issues with these things are selling like crazy. So there's a ton of them out there. So the number of, bad ones that get past quality control, that number is going to increase just with the, huge volume of Zastavas being put out there. I'm not trying to make an excuse for them. I'm not trying to do anything like that. But yeah, and you can easily go, well, I haven't seen failure rates with the FB Radom, barrel. I'm sure there's some issues out there that people have documented. Also, there's not nearly as many of those getting pumped out as there are of this guy and all the different models that Zastava is offering. So, are they built top tier? No, I wouldn't say they are. But are they built like garbage? And I don't think they are. I really don't think they are. Even with, the obvious issue I'm having, this one's clearly built slightly out of spec in some way. So I am very curious to get it out, shoot it. Maybe I will find some of the other aftermarket brands, mags, and mark them and modify them and see how well they work in here. Another thing I did see a lot of people talking about is the break-in procedure. This does have an adjustable gas block up there, so you've got 3 different settings. I'm seeing a lot of people mention how you're supposed to break it in with like 2 or 500 rounds on setting 3, and then do the same thing for setting 2 and 1 before it's fully broke in. I did flip through, and I have it here as proof, the owner's manual, and unless I completely missed it, which maybe that's possible, but I did go through here like 2 or 3 times, I cannot find any information in the manual going over break-in procedure and like how to adjust the gas block for that. So, I think it said in there, setting 2 is your normal standard setting that you should be running it at normally. I'm going to go ahead. I've already got it set to setting 3. I'm going to run a couple rounds through it like that, and then I'll switch to setting 2, send a couple more rounds through it on setting 2, and then maybe go to setting 1 and see if I can, if it will run reliably on setting 1. I have seen some videos where people say they leave it on setting 1. Other videos, people saying they leave it on setting 2. And of course, that also all goes back to what kind of ammo are you running through there. Another thing worth pointing out, I remember when these first came out, people were talking about how awesome it is. You can adjust this gas system. All you need is the tip of a bullet to lift up on that prong and, rotate this to the setting you want, which makes sense. If I were to see this, that's exactly what I would assume you're supposed to do. But then all of a sudden we started seeing a bunch of videos of people having issues with this little spring losing its retention and the gas setting just moving on its own. Apparently, and once again, I did not see it in the manual. I actually almost want to say I think I saw in the manual them showing you lifting up on it with a bullet tip. But do not do that. If you've got one of these, the best way to do it is to actually you have to remove the bolt carrier and then remove the gas tube. Rotate the gas, adjustable gas little ring here to where you need it, and then reinstall the gas tube to lock it into that setting. So some people might be like, that's stupid. They should have built it where you can just adjust it on the fly. And I agree. I think they actually meant to, but they're having issues with those holding retention. Maybe that's something they fixed, but I do remember early on when these came out, there's kind of a public service announcement saying, remove the gas tube before you adjust that gas setting. Also, like I said, the factory little gas ring that comes on there, you've got 3 settings. Apparently there is a 6-setting version available out there. I see people constantly referring back to Reddit, so if you want one of those, they are out there. For what I'm doing with this, I don't think I'm gonna need it unless those things are absolutely dirt cheap, then maybe I'll buy it. This one did come with a cleaning rod. Once again, some of the earlier videos I saw people mentioning how theirs did not. Maybe it was loose in the box. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't include it. But this one, it did come with a cleaning rod, and it was attached to the gun when it showed up. Everything on here does seem to be good and straight to me, at least. I do love AKs, but I'm not going to pretend I'm like a know-all-be-all AK expert. As you can see, we do have that rail. Once again, sorry, hitting the bipod there. Don't know if I'm going to get a mount for this or not. It might be one of those things where I just get a mount just so I have one in case I decide to put an optic on here or something. Another reason I also wanted to hurry up and get this, world's a crazy place these days. So a while back, a couple years ago, I think, Serbia announced that they were going to be limiting the exportation of firearms and ammunition. I believe due to the fact that some of their weapons and ammunition were showing up in the Ukraine-Russian war on the side of the Ukrainians, which politically was not a good look for them because they're buddy-buddy with Russia. Apparently, that kept happening. And then I remember several months ago, they announced that they were stopping all exportation of firearms and ammunition out of the country. And that's when I kind of noticed these, the in-stock Zastava slowly starting to dry up. I haven't seen a whole lot of people talk about it in the gun forums. I've seen a few people bring it up. And I think a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, they've already said that a few years ago. I'm not concerned. So seeing their stocks kind of dry up on these, I was like, okay, I'm wanting to get another 5.56 AK to go the, classic wood look. Let's go ahead and get the Zastava. I kind of picked this over the WBP. At least the 5.56 versions, I got more faith in this guy. I think, I don't know. Willing to roll the dice more on this guy. So I decided to hurry up and get it. And like I said, the time I got this, out of all the different gun websites that I at least shop at, only Atlantic Firearms and Classic Firearms had these in stock. And I actually hadn't ordered from Classic in quite a while. Classic had the cheapest version with this walnut stock, so that's the route I went. Purchased it, and I was like, whew, I got one before they all dried up. And then shortly thereafter, like, everybody got restocked on them. On Classic Firearms, the price of this walnut one like dropped like $200 or something. So did I panic buy for no reason? Very possibly. And then once again, if that hold from Serbia on exporting stuff is still in place, there's a good chance they're allowing things, contracts that have already been signed, purchases that have already been done to move out of the country. We've got all the firearms like just sitting in warehouses, moving through the system, also already in the country, restocking different stores. So it might be a while before we see it dry up. There's also a good chance that maybe that ban has been lifted and I just don't know about it. And they're continuing to come in and it's no issue. So I'm not saying run out and buy one of these because they're drying up or anything like that. There's a chance. Once again, this isn't like a permanent ban on export. So if the conflict in Ukraine dies down anytime soon, which God knows if it is, you could very well see those bans lifted very quickly on the exportation of those out of Serbia, if they aren't already. So that's just a little backstory as to why I hurried up and picked this up. I actually ordered this the same time I got the Rock River Arms AR from AIM Surplus. So that was fun, picking up 2 rifles at my FFL the same day. Felt like a hoss. But yeah, overall, so far, once again, not having shot this yet, I am very happy with it. The action is very smooth. The action on my M92 is one of the smoothest actions on any of my AKs, maybe next to my Malat. So, once again, like I said, I've got high faith in these. I know a lot of people hate them. They're not perfect, as my example is not perfect, and I'm willing to admit. But I don't think it's anything you should be wary of. I'd pick these up over any kind of Century build, not import, any Century build. Like I said, it is kind of a coin toss between this and the WBP. I was very torn. Very knowledgeable people on AKs have the opinion that WBPs are 100% good to go. Other very knowledgeable people on AKs have the impression that it's kind of 50-50 on those if they're good to go. So I just decided to go the Zastava route. I've already got a bunch of Zastava firearms. I had a huge Zastava collection for a while and kind of let a few of them go. So it was nice getting another Zastava in the collection, especially a new one like this. So yeah, like I said, just kind of a show and tell for you guys. Nothing special on this one. I will give a follow-up, obviously, once I figure out what direction I'm going with this. Take it out to the range. Hopefully I'll have some kind of a mag update for you that's positive. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for you. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Check me out on Rumble as well as Instagram. And of course, as always, stay safe and stay shiny.